security remains a crucial component of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. As experts say, it is the only way to curb food importation and strengthen the nation's economy. There has been different interventions by the present administration as part of its commitment to set targets right by focusing on accelerating responses to food security challenges and setting Nigeria on a path to resilient and sustainable food systems. Following the National Bureau of Statistics figure for food inflation that was in June at 39.58%, there has been proactive steps taken by the federal government towards achieving food sufficiency to ensure price stability. Now, we saw a drop of 2.47 in July. If you recall, the federal government announced a 150-day duty-free import window for food commodities in July, a move targeted at ensuring a reduction in the inflation rate in the country. Now, the 150 days of duty-free imports is valid for commodities including maize, husk, brown rice, wheat, and cowpeas. The initiative is part of the Presidential Accelerated Stabilization and Advancement Plan. But another cheering news is that food prices have started dropping following new harvest season, and farmers are beginning to reap bountifully. But it is not yet uhuru. What are the expectations in the next few months as harvest season expectedly increases in quantity and quality? Our reporters went around local markets across the country to give a situation report on prices of food produce. Price drop in agricultural produce amid new harvest is our focus tonight on Weekend File. And our guests are Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, and Dr. Austin Maduka, General Secretary, National Agricultural Commodities Project. Thank you very much for joining us on Weekend File. I'm Ruth Aguilera. First, let's bring you the news. President Bola Tinubu has issued a directive to reduce the size of Nigeria's official delegation to the forthcoming United Nations General Assembly, that is UNGA meeting in New York, United States. This directive was disclosed by the Chief of Staff to the President Femi Gbajabiamila this Saturday in Abuja during a one-day retreat organized by the State House Management for heads of government agencies under its supervision. Addressing participants at the retreat, the Chief of Staff said the decision is to streamline Nigeria's delegation to the 79th session of UNGA in September, which is part of the administration's commitment to ensure prudent management of resources and reduce the cost of governance, highlighting the need for the State House and agencies under its supervision to ensure that its functions are guided by statutes, regulations, policy decisions, and presidential directives. Honorable Gbajabiamila hinted at upcoming policy announcements aimed at ensuring efficient service delivery in government operations. In other news, the federal government has warned state governments against entering foreign negotiations alone without the input of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Following the dispute between Ogun State government and Zhongshan Fengshan Industrial Investment Company, a Chinese company, which led to the seizure of 3 Nigerian presidential jets. A statement by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tugar, says when subnational actors like state governments take upon themselves to go into international agreements without involvement of the federal government, such foreign negotiations require individuals with expertise and training, and of course registration of same with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The statement records that the presidential jets were seized by a French court on August 15 due to a contract dispute between the two parties stemming from a 2007 agreement for the development of a free trade zone, which later fell apart. Federal government, we hear, is deploying 51 solar mini grids to communities across the country this year as part of interventions to increase access to electricity. Joshua Ojita reports that 5 communities in Abuja are among the beneficiaries.
Defying the deplorable road, Rural Electrification Agency is reaching out to communities in the hinterlands, providing them with electricity to boost the rural economy. Rafin Zurfi in Gwagwalada Area Council of the FCT is the latest beneficiary of the federal government solar project, and the community is excited as the facility is inaugurated.
We are expanding more and more so that we enjoy the light.
A 40 kilowatts hybrid solar system with 3.5 kilometers of distribution network across the community is expected to provide affordable and reliable electricity.
What you should expect is a reasonable tariff for the society, for the community to be able to afford it.
50 kilowatts PV, 144 kilowatt hour battery storage, and 50 kilowatts inverter system.
The work being done in rural community by the REA further shows that the federal government of Nigeria is keen on leaving no one behind in the delivery of its developmental projects.
More communities in the FCT are to benefit from the solar mini-grid project this year, as federal government taxed them to take ownership of the project against vandals. Joshua Ojitu, NTA News.
For Nigeria to attract the needed direct foreign investment into the country, governments at subnational levels must work on getting data about their areas of comparative advantages and project same to the global economy. Emmanuel Akila reports that this is the position of experts who engaged officials of government in Gombe State during the workshop by Nigerian Investment Certification Program for states in the country.
Nigeria's economic growth depends to some extent on how much information is made available to investors across the globe about the business opportunities in the country. The Nigerian Investment Certification Program for States workshop in Gombe, therefore, is a step in that direction.
The state has done a lot of reforms, and as at the moment, they are the leading state in terms of investment, climate improvement.
When you go to schools, you see that everybody is engaged doing one business or the other. So it's here. We have the land.
We in the health sector, we are so many partners are coming into Gombe State.
We also have road network, improvement of our education sectors. We have mega schools.
The certification process for Gombe State to be on the investment global map reveals the efforts made by the government to grow the state's economy in recent years.
There are certain things every investor looks at before bringing investment to a particular place. And we believe Gombe State has everything it takes for an investor to come.
With the 3-day training done, next would be the coming of inspectors to conclude the final stage for Gombe State's investment opportunities to be more visible at the international business place. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
The National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children's Education says it has mopped up over 20,000 out-of-school children in the Federal Capital Territory within the last 3 weeks. Executive Secretary of the Commission, Dr. Mohammed Sani Idris, says this was made possible through the use of enrollment marshals who identify them, saying the children would be enrolled in school in September. The statement by the Commission also indicates that the strategy could be a benchmark for other states to emulate. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has condemned the kidnapping of 20 medical students in Otukpo, Benue State, while en route the annual convention of the Federation of Catholic Medical and Dental Students in Enugu. A statement by the Force Public Relations Officer, Olumiyiwa Adejobi, noted that the IGP has ordered the immediate deployment of personnel to ensure swift rescue of the students, appealing to the public to provide useful information that will aid the ongoing investigation and rescue operation. President Bola Tinubu congratulates Nigeria former military president General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida on his 83rd birthday. Saluting him on this special occasion, President Tinubu notes IBB's endeavors towards the development of the nation and commends him for service to the nation. The president also wishes IBB many more years in good health. Similarly, Northern governors celebrate former military president General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida at 83, hailing his statesmanship and enduring legacy. A statement by its chairman and governor of Gombe State, Muhammadu Inuwa Yahya, describes IBB as a bridge builder and a committed patriot. The 19 governors acknowledged the former Nigerian leader as a true asset and a source of inspiration for both established and emerging leaders. Former President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed condolences to the former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Attahiru Jega, following the death of his mother, Hajia Hawa Kulu Muhammadu Jega, who died after a brief illness. In a statement, the former president urged Professor Jega to take solace in the good legacies by his late mother, praying Allah to grant her Al-Jannah Firdaus. All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll begin our conversation on the price of food items, talking about agricultural produce. You don't want to miss that. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying tuned. It's Weekend File. And the conversation we're about to begin is on the drop in price of agricultural produce. But let's bring you reports from across the states. Now, the National Bureau of Statistics has released figures indicating that food inflation has dropped in the last 30 days across the country. The food inflation dropped by 2.47% from the 2.55% recorded in the month of June. Now, this confirms NTA's news earlier survey on food prices dropping in most parts of the country. In this report, Musa Baba Aliyu takes a look at some of the government initiatives towards making food available and affordable for Nigerians.
The National Bureau of Statistics released a figure indicating that food inflation grew by 39.58% in the month of July 2024. However, the prices have started dropping as new harvests hit the market. A survey indicates that the prices of vegetables dropped by about 60% in major commodity markets.
A few months ago, the basket was 48,000 here. But now, presently, what we're selling, the good one, we're selling 20,000, 21,000, 18,000 even.
In this farmers market located in Paiko in Niger State, prices of maize, millet, yam and melon dropped by about 30 to 40%.
We are very happy and excited because most states, the subnationals, have keyed in to Mr. President's renewed hope agenda, which is food security and increase in production. So it has become less cumbersome for us, really, to try to advocate to the state governors on the need to increase food because they themselves are on the right track.
In the meantime, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has released the 42,000 metric tons of assorted food to state governors to cushion the effects of food inflation.
His strategic reserve is to store only 5% of annual harvest, while the states, which is the buffer stock, they are expected to store 10% of the annual harvest. And also the rest, which is 85%, is left for the on-farm, that is the small household farmers and the businessmen to be able to live on.
Fertilizer were also handed over to states to distribute to farmers free of charge. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Well, as farmers begin to harvest new crops, prices of some food items are beginning to drop, with the hope that other food items still on the high side will eventually drop. Now, this development some experts attribute to some factors. In this report, Grace Ichekba examines the situation in Benue and Taraba states.
Benue State, with the appellation Food Basket of the Nation, is known for the cultivation of various crops, and it is strategically located. It is known for the cultivation of yams, guinea corn, maize and sorghum, among others. The state serves as an entry point of farm produce from the far north to the southeast and south-south of the country and vice versa. Usually, prices of food items drop during harvest, but reverse is the case this year as farmers attribute it to the late onset of rainfall and dry spell.
For big one, 5,000 last, no reduction. This one, a medium size, 3,500. This one, small size, 2,500.
The price of the garina basin is 30,000. Rubber pellets is 2,500. A mudu is 900.
An agronomist and crop protectionist, Joseph Sawanta University, Makurdi, Dr. Alfred Jimin, advised farmers to use early maturing seedlings and ensure they follow the NIMEC predictions to know when to plant their crops.
Benue is a transition zone in the sense that crops are move from here to other states while some pass through. I can say that yes, there is some sort of socioeconomic stability. Benue is a state that offers socioeconomic stability for the north and then for the south and generally Nigeria.
In Taraba State, the case is not different, as the state is experiencing adverse effects of the weather as farmers are witnessing poor harvest of crops.
The government is also working in order to support farmers to be able to acquire all those early maturing crops like cowpea, like early maturing maize, sorghum, and also sesame, so that they can also plant within the next 2 months of rain that it will be available from September into October.
However, Benue and Taraba state governments have distributed fertilizers and other agricultural inputs to ensure bumper harvest at the end of the cropping season. In Makurdi, Grace Ichepa, NTA News.
And let's bring in our guests. We have in the studio the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abdullahi Sabi Aliyu. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. A very good evening, Nigerians.
Good evening to you too. And we have joining the Minister is Dr. Austin Maduka, General Secretary, National Agricultural Commodities Project. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Maduka.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, Nigerians.
Good evening. Honorable Minister, I'd like to begin with you. There was a prediction last month. You said that following interventions by the federal government, the prices of food, agricultural produce will drop. And we're seeing that, come alive. Now, going by the interventions that has taken place, are you satisfied with what is happening, talking about the crash in the prices of food?
Well, thank you very much. And first, let me commend NTA too for keeping tab on this very sensitive issue of food security in Nigeria. Your reportage over the last couple of months has actually kept Nigerians abreast with what is happening in the field, and just like we have also seen here in your report. What I would like to put here is this. Naturally, the 12 months we have represent period of production and then period of harvest, and then you also have lean period. And of course, when you witness all the challenges that the country faced over the last 2 years, which we have talked about several times, leading to what we have witnessed as shortage of production. When I mean production here, because you could remember there was flooding that devastated some states, and there was also the impact of the COVID-19. There was also the aspect of the currency, redesign, and all those things back to back happening without farmers getting reprieve, I think was responsible for the very critical situation we find ourselves. However, upon assumption of office of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, he made it very clear that food security is his priority. And when he declared the state of emergency, it was for him to now see it as a top priority issue that he must give his attention to. And I think over the past 1 year, we have tried our best. And like I said on one of these programs here, definitely when harvest starts coming in, that will help to bring down price. And that is why part of our strategy is in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture for us to increase that ramp up production, ensure that we are able to produce more. And on the basis of, the simple law of demand and supply, when there is more food, more alternative, I think it will help to bring down the price. And let's not also forget that government is not unaware of the other macroeconomic issues that has made, the price, food inflation to be. And I think government has taken several, actions, one of which of recent is the short window that was created to see if we can get some importation. And I think guidelines have been released by Nigerian customs to that effect. Okay. And this is not, forgetting the fact that we are having a robust strategy that will enable us to have what we call sustainable food transformation system in a manner that we will never have to experience this kind of very difficult situation. Okay. And that will mean having dry season farming, which we have witnessed last year, and then we entered the wet season, and as we speak, we are already preparing to triple or even do more of what we have done in the last year, 2023-2024 dry season, that is talking about the 2024-2025 dry season. So if we are able to sustain a back-to-back production coming from the rainy season, we go into the dry season, and the opportunities available to us based on our natural endowment as a country, which we are currently exploring, I think definitely this issue of food inflation will be handled in a more sustainable basis.
Indeed, and based on what you've reeled out for us, I'm sure the target is an all-year-round farming to sustain efforts. Now, Dr. Maduka, going by what has just been discussed, ensuring the sustainability of this drop in prices of food items is very crucial. Many have said, agriculture has the potential to unlock the nation's economy. Do you share the same perspective?
Yeah, agriculture have what it takes to unlock the Nigerian economy. Just to borrow a leaf from what the Honorable Minister said, all year round is the magic because we have always depend on rain-fed agriculture, and that has really failed us. And the drop on the prices, as everybody is singing hallelujah now, is usually normal once we start having food, from the farms this season when the farmers are harvesting. But the challenges we have is that there's no value additions and there's no storage facilities for some of these things, like the perishable items like tomato. Very soon now there will be scarcity of tomato again, and the prices will still go high. Because up till today, I don't think there's cooling systems that can restore these things, preserve them for a very long time. Very soon now you see okra everywhere. There's plenty of okra in the town, and people will be buying okra for 15 naira and what have you. But at the end of the day, you see that because these things are not preserved, after a while they will be scarce again. And the agriculture should, the ministry and the federal government should see agriculture as a business and introduce different types of agricultural programs and interventions to drive agriculture in Nigeria, and also carry along the practitioners in most of this engagement, because most times when government produces policies or programs, it is only in the ministry that most of these things happen, and sometimes some of us as practitioners don't even know about them. Some of them may be laudable projects, laudable policies and programs, but the real practitioners are not carried along in some of these issues and discussions. So most times we find it difficult to even key into the program. Okay. Like presently now, we also supported to this price reduction, because we at the NSCP also created a program, a private-driven initiative, that we did a 50-50 intervention program for the farmers, where the farmers pay 50% and we give them a loan of 50%. And the prices were like, we gave them the factory price of each of the products they were taking for the farm, not the contract type of support that usually come to the farmers. So if a bag of fertilizer is 20,000 naira in the factory, that is what the farmer pays for his fertilizer. If herbicide is 2,500, that is what he pays. So there's no middleman, there's nobody who is coming to buy and then supply to the farmers. Okay. So that helps in also bringing down the cost of food in the market.
All right, Honourable Minister, of course, I would like you to respond to what Dr. Maduka has just said. I know there's been efforts, to seek support from, investors to look at having farm inputs, processing foods, and of course storage facilities, which is one of the major challenges smallholder farmers face. They count their losses as they're counting their harvest. What is in place, for smallholder farmers? I'm talking about support now.
Well, thank you very much. I think two issues that Dr. Maduka raised here is the issue of maybe inclusion, participation, and I don't think for us, maybe in the past that may be the case, but right now I don't think that is the case, because in whatever we do, all the critical stakeholders have been properly identified. In fact, as a matter of trying to institutionalize the need to carry through all critical stakeholders, we are currently carrying out what we call, stakeholder mapping and analysis to enable us know who are the critical stakeholders. And we ask this question arising from the kind of concern raised by Dr. Maduka out of our engagement last year when we came on board. And so this year, that project will come out. We will know who is doing what, where they are, and what their interests are. That will enable us know who should participate in all the kind of programs we are doing. That's the first one. The second aspect is in terms of post-harvest. In fact, we realize the importance of post-harvest because we know, and I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has even said this in several occasions, that to the extent that we are losing up to 70% in some instances. So we are aware of this, and as a ministry, what we have done first, coming back to the same issue of stakeholders, we have convened what we call the post-harvest connect, and the maiden edition took place just about some 2 months ago, where we brought in all the critical stakeholders in the post-harvest chain to look at areas where we can provide support to farmers and the kind of technology that should be made available to them. That way, as the harvest are beginning to come in, just like we are all witnessing, and as it is being said, we should begin to have programs that will help us to address that post-harvest challenge by way of what? Processing and value addition. And I think we have so many other programs in the ministry having to do with nutrition, for example, that are looking at how to bring in high nutrient food together. Because at the end of the day, when you have food in different forms, then you are able to help to preserve and also extend the availability of this food over a longer period. That way you'll be able to curtail the price. Okay. So we are aware of all of this and working very hard. But let me say one thing here. We are providing massive support to our stakeholders, I mean the smallholder farmers. And in fact, we've also realized that there is a dynamics that have changed. There are many people who are now taking interest in agriculture, like we have already said. Agriculture is the next, gold, is the next, gold mine, is the next crude. That is where our funds is going to come from. And Nigeria is blessed with over 70 million, hectares of arable land. And in fact, let me say that we are only using about 30-something, million hectares out of this. The recent survey by the National Bureau of Statistics, along with the ministry, showed that Nigeria has about 42 million households that are into agriculture. That is farm families. And we are currently also developing a program that will enable us to begin to target the farm families with a view to making sure that the farm production that they are going to have will be massively supported. Okay. They will be given all the necessary training and also the extension services in multiple platforms, because we realize the extension farmer ratio is low. So we are looking at things like the e-extension platform, where we'll be able to have all the 3 major languages interpreting and providing information to our farmers across board. So there's quite a lot we are doing because this is the renewed hope era. And I want to assure Nigerians that we mean business.
Indeed, and I'm sure Nigerians, their hope has been ignited. We'll pick up with the conversation. Let's take a break. We're back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. And just before my guests pick up with the conversation on the drop of prices in food items, let's find out how Lagos is faring. Lagos residents are now enjoying the reward of the bumper harvest of the rainy season with an increased supply of farm produce at relatively low prices compared with the exorbitant cost of major staple foods. Joel Popola was at one of the popular markets there in Lagos and now reports.
The unwanted narrative of scarcity and astronomical increase in prices of farm produce has paved way for a new era of abundance. The popular Mile 12 international market in Lagos is now a beehive, unlike the lull experienced in the past.
Before, where they sell them 75, now it's start to sell them 50, 52. The small one, where they sell them 35, 40, now it's 25.
Before for Shambo, 120, 110, now they sell them 30,000, 25.
General Secretary, Vegetable and Foodstuff Traders, Mile 12 International Market, Idris Balarabe says the gains of this farming season is sustainable.
Federal government are starting helping to the farmers, give them some certain amounts to go and farming. Then after then, the state government, governors, they are giving them the fertilizer.
Stakeholders urge government to maintain consistent agric policies to support local production.
The route to sustainability is to move past this seasonality in our agricultural production and be able to have a more stable and level production. Commercial farming, irrigated commercial farming.
The price of yam has also continued on its downward slide with about 30% reduction, but traders say the demand is still low. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
All right, we still have the Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security and Dr. Austin Maduka. Dr. Maduka, I'd like to get to you now. Going by sustainability plan to reshape the agri sector, what would be your recommendation in the areas of investment to promote mechanized farming in the country?
Well, to sustain agriculture in Nigeria, we have to begin to think about two ways of agricultural activities in Nigeria for the smallholder farmers and the mega farmers, which should be two ways of cultivation for domestic purposes and industrial needs. And because majority of the farmers who grow our foods today still grow for the industries, and that has always affected the cost of food in the market. So the government should, as a matter of national importance, design a program, in partnership with the private sectors, a well-structured, driven agricultural program where the smallholder farmers will be able to grow for our domestic needs, and then the mega farmers or the large farmers will also, do productions for our industrial needs. And the state governments and governors have access to various lands. Yeah. The local government now having autonomy should be also encouraged to dedicate land and develop lands for farmers to farm. It may not be free. It may be with a price. It may not be subsidized. It may not be like the relative measure the government is introducing, but it should be basically business. And then there should be availability of water. There should be availability of accessible road. There should be training, just like the Honorable Minister have mentioned a few minutes ago, talking about agricultural extension. That has been a major challenge because some of the extension officers are already gradually phasing out because they are aged and they are not, adding more value to the system. So more younger people should be trained, in the area of agricultural extension services. And then the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Federal Ministry of Water Resources should form a synergy, like presently now we have the case of drought in some states. And if we have a farm settlement where farmers are, this place is dedicated for farm activities, and they have a cottage industry there, they have access to water, they have rural electrification there. Farmers they have whatever it takes for the farmers to remain in that location. Okay. The farmers will grow more food, and it will also develop the GDP of our nation.
Indeed, and of course states, Honorable Minister, states have a very crucial role to play if the renewed hope agenda must be fully implemented in the area of food security. We've seen Niger State start an agriculture revolution, and other states are following suit. What is your expectation from state governments, and what's the synergy like?
Well, I think I want to thank the, Dr. Maduka for some of the points he has raised. Just last week, we have activated Agriculture, Water Resources Joint Action for Food Security, a technical committee that is already working to see the next dry season, what is available in water resources and what we are going to do, just to take care of, that promise made to take agriculture around. And just like somebody says seasonality, of course we want to remove seasonality because we are blessed with abundant water resources. All we need to do is to tap it. Now, in terms of what he said about, the state, at the last count, we have more than 20 state governors who have visited us to express their commitment to work with us. And I think in the last dry season, we have done tremendously well with almost all the frontline states who are involved in wheat production, for example. And in the case of, the fertilizer we're distributing, we've given it out to all the states already. And I think some of the states have already started giving them out to their, beneficiaries. Now, one thing I want to say is that Niger State, of course, proudly, I'm proudly Niger State. That is my state, and we have the largest agricultural land. And I think it is in realization of this that the governor, the former governor, Mohamed Umar Bago, decided to say, look, we are blessed with arable land, so we need to take it up. And this year, their target is over 250,000 hectares. They are targeting 1 million, I think, for different commodities, but at the minimum 250, maybe for rice, maize and the like. And all other states, honestly, this time around, there's a lot of synergy with the state. We have the National Agricultural Growth Scheme project, which I think, I wouldn't know whether Dr. Maduka is aware, but we have a well-structured program which is targeting smallholder farmers in terms of the major staples. We're talking about maize, cassava, sorghum and millet, and even soybeans and cowpea. All of this we are targeting. And the whole idea is that when we create synergy between what the federal is doing and what the state is doing, we are going to create a more sustainable food production system. And I think that is what we need. Now, just let me explain this. Because President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has promised Nigerians renewed hope, you cannot promise people hope when you don't have a basis for tracing what you are doing. And so the presidential, coordination unit, which, Hajia Hadiza Bala is coordinating, have come, they've brought out key indicators that is guiding us. And I want to submit here that those key indicators are answering the question that, my colleague is asking here. We are having target producing for food, because our food security is a very top priority. We are also having targets that are targeting the industrial raw material, and then we're having target for export. So these are the three main areas because we want agriculture to be a business. And of course, we believe we are having indicators that are already showing us what we are doing if we are on course, and we are working very hard on that.
All right, Honorable Minister, of course, the hope for Nigerians is for the smallholder farmers to have access to their farms, availability to the consumer at affordable price. Thank you so much for coming on Weekend File. Here's the Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for having me. I hope you call us more.
Of course,
because we have so much to talk about.
Keep our eyes on the prize.
Yes, we have so much to talk about. I don't think I've gone 20% of what we're doing here.
Not even a bit.
Thank you very much.
All right, Dr. Austin Maduka, General Secretary, National Agricultural Commodities Project. We want to thank you for coming on Weekend File. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy that the Honorable Minister of States for Agriculture is a man that knows what it takes to turn around the agricultural sector. This evening, as I just stepped into the the hall here, I discovered that one of my friends, Victor, is his SA, and we have been talking about engaging cooperative in agriculture. And I think that is the right track to follow. Thank you for having me this evening.
All right,
Thank
and that's what NTA intends to do, bridge the gap. Thank you so much. Let's take a break. We'll be back. Stay tuned. Good to know you're there. And let's bring you details from the world of sports. We have Francisca already standing by to bring us that detail. Francisca, what's up?
Thank you, Ruth. Now let's begin from home as two-time finalists. Nigeria's Falconets will set up camp in Bogota on Sunday for a two-week final turn-up program ahead of FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup from August 31 to September 22 in Colombia. Sport Development Minister John Enom met the team led by coach Christopher Danjuma before departure from Abuja via Istanbul to the South American country and charged them to bring back home the trophy. Nigeria is joining Group D with Germany, South Korea and Venezuela. Still talking football, CAF Confederation Cup campaigners El Kanemi Warriors walk a tightrope in the race to qualify for the next round after a 1-1 draw at the adopted home turf in Ogun State to that JFC in the first of their preliminary round on Saturday. That JFC took the lead in the 22nd minute through Salesia Bakia, and El Kanemi forced their way back to end a draw in the 95th minute when Gimbia Ajiji headed home a well-placed corner kick. The President Federation Cup winners need a win to ease into the next round of the tournament. Elsewhere, Arsenal opened their season with a comfortable 2-0 victory over Wolves at the before he assisted Bukayo Saka, who completed a solo run for a fine finish. Liverpool beats newly promoted Ipswich. Ipswich Town 2-0. Brighton are top of the league after a 3-0 victory over Everton, and Aston Villa stunned West Ham United 2-1 in London Derby. Well, that's the much we can take on sport updates. Over to Ruth.
Thank you very much, Francisca, for that update there. And that's where we say good night on Weekend File. We do appreciate your company. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.